All right, good morning, fellas and ladies. Getting an early start in the day. It's time to talk a little. So, let me break down this video, what we're going to do real quick, because we haven't done one exactly like this before. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the overlay progressive jackpot tournament picks. Yes, for the 9 messages I've gotten since I, got home from walking last night. Yes, we're going to do it. It's coming out. It's right now. Okay. Yes, we will help you out or do our best to help you out. It's right here. Okay. If you can, click the thumbs up button. Always appreciate it. When we are done with the overlay progressive tournament picks, we're going to run right back through the DK picks. We're each going to throw in one GPP guy that we like a lot. It's just kind of a bonus for the day, so we'll have a little bit of fun with that. And then more than anything, guys, in a good mood today. If you want to sign up to be a new monthly customer, I will reimburse you half of your first month payment before the game start today. So monthly customers are $30 a month. Your first month will then be $15. All you got to do is go to the website below, the DFS 5-pack, sign up to be a monthly customer, and we'll get you going again before the games even start today. I ain't going anywhere. I'm on my laptop all day long.
Yeah, same. And all that stuff's great. You should obviously take advantage of that. But even if you don't want to drop, that type of change today, spend $5 and get a day pass. See what we're all about. We got the NFL write-up. We got NFL vids. We're early in the morning enough where you can still catch that stuff. I'm hyped for this week, man. I'm excited to break down this overlay slate with you.
Yeah, I got a few of them on here I really like. So it always makes me feel better about playing in the progressive tournaments. Not playing them every week anyway, but I feel better about my lineup and what I've done when there's a couple of them that I feel are like, I got this one, right? Like it's not as much of a question to me. When I have to go into some of them and I feel like they're all questions, I know Overlay did their job, but it ain't making my job any easier.
For shizzle.
All right, guys. So we're going to go through the 22, but honestly, it's the same picks as the $2.50 one. I got a few bucks in my account these days, so I like to play in this one and try to go for that $13,000 jackpot. I know you only play in the 22, so.
I can't fathom playing in the smaller one and hitting the jackpot. It'd be such a bad beat for me because I always play the 22. It's one of those things that is not really true, but it's in my head. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I it's been a while, but I swear, like there was a baseball contest earlier this year where I think you said if like you played in your normal contest, you would have won $50K, but instead you won like 10 or whatever it was, and it's like, yeah, it's a great day, but it's 5 times more.
You get it. Like it's only people who really play DFS and have played for a long time and have been there understand. And it's just one of those things. It goes back to DFS. It is always, no matter what, it's a mind fuck.
Because I was running through the matchup shop, and I think Allen's plus 2.5, and I still liked Russell Wilson. So when it's straight up like this, give me Russell Wilson.
I'm with you. I actually like Josh Allen, but it's not one I want to pick. However, you might have to pick all of them. I haven't counted them exactly, but there are not that many today.
Yeah, Josh Allen's for the year. He's had some shoulder issues. He's not looked like the same guy the last month. So Russ is bulletproof. Now, I think Allen's got like legit GPP upside today. I got to see him play well before I feel comfortable with him again.
I get that. I prefer Allen, but again, really not excited about picking against Wilson right now.
Yeah, I mean, guys like Russell Wilson and like Kyler Murray are just in like this bulletproof type of like spot where like they just seem to give you something every single week.
Yes, sir.
All right. After that, we got Teddy Bridgewater against Kansas City and Matt Stafford against Minnesota. So this is an interesting one. One, like I have not been overly impressed by Bridgewater lately. They get Christian McCaffrey back today. And I think it is worth noting, since about a year ago, Kansas City's like a top 5 defense. And I think that flies a little bit under the radar. I know we always think, oh, you can go up against them and you can get after them. They have not been that defense for a while. Matt Stafford against Minnesota, that seems like the easy pick. But dude's been in COVID protocol all week long. Like, is it possible he's not prepared for this game? It's a hard situation. So this is a tough one. What are your thoughts on it?
I like Stafford slightly more. I agree with your thoughts. I think I like both these guys more than you do, which is interesting. Not that I love them or are going to use them on pay sites, but I think that you're right. Bridgewater might not be incredibly efficient today, but he's going to have to throw a lot, even if it's sometimes to McCaffrey. I think he gets there yardage-wise, and he's not a guy that's going to turn the ball over a lot. Stafford is in a good spot, and I'm not really that worried about the COVID protocols. I feel like it was projected and expected for him to play all week. He's a pro's pro. He'll keep himself prepared. He's a guy that's very up and down, so you never know what to expect from him. But I think
I feel better, like you said, pro's pro, though. I think that's a great point.
So I like Stafford slightly more. I just think he's the better fantasy quarterback when all's said and done.
Yeah, and I what you just said about being a pro's pro. He's what is he, 10 years in the league at this point? Minnesota's got no cornerback. So I tend to go Stafford here as well, but I don't feel as warm and fuzzy about it. If Stafford had practiced all week long and Galladay was there, like this would be a no-brainer for me.
I get that, and I agree. Stafford's obviously not like one of the elite quarterbacks, Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, etc. He's not on that tier, but like he's a very good quarterback. Like this is a good question. If I told you that your team, 10 years ago when Stafford was a rookie, would have Matt Stafford for your QB for the next 10 years, would you take that?
Well, I'm a Packer fan, so I've had Hall of Fame quarterback play since I was 11. It's different for me, but I do think he's better than your average replacement. So I think your best bet would be to take him.
Yeah, I agree.
So, okay. Moving down from there, I can guarantee we're going to disagree on this one. Kyle Allen versus Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones will give you the ball, no doubt about it. But he throws in a little something with his legs. I've liked what New York has done the last couple of weeks and has played better. So, in a battle of, not Mahomes versus Tom Brady, clearly, I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. And I have a feeling you're going to disagree.
Nope, I'm going to go Daniel Jones also. I think Washington wins this game, but I think New York is throwing. Easier for Jones to get there. And you're right, he does run a little bit. I like Antonio Gibson a lot from the Washington side, so that will take away from Allen.
All right, moving down from there. So here's another interesting one. We've already talked about him. We'll talk about him again. You guys all know that, I like Drew Lock. You really like Drew Lock this week. But Cousins is a lot more expensive on pay sites for a reason. And Detroit ain't exactly, Lock's in a great spot, but let's not pretend like Cousins is also not in a great spot. I'm going to go with Drew Lock and just hope Detroit doesn't get up early.
How much is Cousins?
6 something, I think. Like low sixes, if I remember correctly. I mean, more than Drew Lock, who's, barely the minimum.
You really just got in my head there. I wasn't even thinking about that, and I had Lock, already plugged in.
Well, salary considered, Lock's the play.
Yeah, I know, and it shouldn't matter, though, that you just said that to me, because, who cares that Cousins is more expensive? That literally means nothing. That's just that DK's algorithm. Who cares? But it does mean something to me, and Cousins is in a good spot here. I'm still going to go Lock because I'm not going to back off it. But I think Cousins has a good day today, too. I'll say that.
I can see Cousins with a good day. It really depends how does Detroit play early, because if Minnesota can get a 7-10 point lead in this one, it's going to be the Dalvin Cook show. I loved take it back. I did not love at all what Minnesota did last week when they beat my Packers, but I loved how they approached the game. They just simply said, you can't stop the run. Cousins didn't throw the ball farther than 10 yards down the field all day long. And I think that's great. If you can't stop the run, why are you going to differentiate from it? And if Dalvin Cook's as good as Dalvin Cook is today, I think Minnesota's like, you know what? Let's just run the damn football. We're good at it.
I do not see this game playing out like that, though. I think Detroit and Minnesota are similar talent.
Sure, I agree.
You're just coming off Minnesota's best effort of the year by far, and Detroit just got rolled, didn't they? They just lost to.
They lose a close game every week, don't
they?
I
can't. Minnesota's slightly better than Detroit. They've been to the playoffs multiple times. They're slightly better than Detroit. But I don't think, and listen, I know who would have ever expected Dalvin Cook to just run all over Green Bay last week. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I think this game's competitive. I'm not going to be surprised if Detroit gets up, and that means Cousins will have to throw. This is an interesting one.
Do you think Detroit gets up 2 touchdowns where they have to abandon the run?
No, I think that it's not a game where Minnesota gets up 2 touchdowns either, though.
No, but you don't have to be up 2 touchdowns just to run the ball. They were only up 2 touchdowns for a small portion of last week, and Cook had 30 touches and was just absolute beast mode. I think Minnesota looks at this Kirk Cousins kind of sucks, but Dalvin Cook's really good, so let's just run the ball all the time.
Yeah, I could also see Madison getting more work today.
Maybe. He's pretty good in his own right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. That being said, I think we're still both taking Lock.
Yep.
All right, Kyler Murray versus Patrick Mahomes. After last week, I think a lot of people are going to be looking at Patrick Mahomes right here. Recency bias. I think so. I think it's a split decision. Whereas if this was 2 weeks ago, I think everybody would have taken Murray.
Yeah, I'm going to take Murray.
I'm going to take Murray as well. Kansas City has shown that they're fine running the ball, and Carolina's terrible against the run. So just because Mahomes went off last week, I mean, there was a lot of other games this year where Kansas City won easily, which I can see right here. They're a really good football team, but they've been extremely happy to run the ball. The Jets were good against the run last week, so they said, well, screw it then. We'll just beat you with everybody else. So I'm Kyler Murray in this one. I just think it's more likely he has a big day.
Exactly. I agree.
All right. Matt Ryan, Ryan Tannehill. Give me Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I'll take Matt Ryan, although I'm not excited about it.
No, I understand that. Chicago's very good against the pass, but I think Derrick Henry might have a quiet, nice day right here. You can run on Chicago a little bit.
You can. And I think a lot of people just look at Chicago and it's just like, you don't want to play anyone against them. That's just the automatic thought, right? And that's true. They're not a team you want to go out of your way to pick on, but they're also not a team anymore that a couple of years ago that was true, but it's not true anymore.
Yeah, I would much rather take a running back against Chicago than a quarterback, though. So, which is why, that was why I went Matt Ryan. And Denver's defense is good, but I know you always talk about this with Denver, much more scared of them at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think Denver wins this game because they're coming off a big win, and Atlanta's the biggest frauds of all frauds. But it's going to be a close game. Atlanta's favored for a reason. Matt Ryan should be able to move the ball here.
All right. Tua versus Phillip Rivers. I mean, who's going to win ugly in this situation? I'll take Phillip Rivers. I just trust him to at least, have a baseline of points a little bit more than I do Tua. I think Tua's he's in a bad spot today, in my opinion. Down to your fourth and fifth string running backs. It's a rough spot for him.
I'll say this about Rivers. I might have gone Tua, but Baltimore is missing guys on defense. It's not the same as Ravens D right now. I'm gonna take Rivers. I think the Colts could move the ball a little bit today.
Yeah, I do think they'll move it. I mean, I don't think they're going to light it up. I think that they're going to be, they're going to get some yardage at the very least.
Yeah, the only reason I'm hesitant here is because I could see them both really struggling. Rivers is no stranger to interceptions, and Tua could break off one run that scores just as much as Rivers basically all game. I could see this one being very ugly. I'm with you.
All right, Deshaun Watson versus Justin Herbert. I mean, Herbert's been nothing short of sensational from a fantasy perspective, but I'm still going to lean in the direction of Watson right here.
Same.
All right, Marvin Jones Jr. against DeAndre Swift. Minnesota has no cornerbacks. I think we might disagree on this one. I'm going to go Marvin Jones Jr., but I'm not running to enter this one.
I like Swift. Just gut call. I think that, again, there's a game script here where Detroit gets up. I think Swift should get touches here. Half-point PPR, oddly enough, the PPR aspect doesn't mean anything here because Jones doesn't catch that many balls. Swift catches a few balls, but it just really doesn't matter here. Do you agree?
No, I project Jones for 1 to 2 more catches than Swift, which is it's a non-factor basically, right? In a half-point PPR situation, it doesn't even factor into my equation. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's exactly how I see it too.
All right, the next one's easy for me. Give me Allen Robinson.
Yeah, agreed.
I am not a David. I mean, as somebody who owns David Montgomery on several fantasy teams, I am not a David Montgomery guy. He's not very good. Opportunity is great, but if we don't do anything with it, I mean, one rushing touchdown all year?
Yes, I will say though, every time I think about Montgomery, do you know who I think about? That also sucks.
Trent Richardson.
No, funny. They don't play at all. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He also sucks, but he's got the opportunity and he scored twice last week. Not saying Montgomery's going to do that, but you get my point.
That was big for Marquez last week to score twice because when he dropped that first ball, and you could just see the look on Rodgers' face, get this kid out of here. And then Aaron went back to him because he's always said the thing missing from Marquez Valdez-Scantling is confidence. And I can't sit around and never throw him again. And he caught the 2 touchdowns. But my Lord, when he dropped that first ball for a first down, I thought Rodgers was going to lose it.
So did I. But the parallel, it's similar. Everyone talks about how much Montgomery sucks. And it's true. He hasn't looked good. Everyone talks about how much Marquez Valdez-Scantling sucks because it's true. But, that doesn't mean you can't score.
Yeah. No, that's true. All right. Adam Thielen versus Justin Jefferson. Like, this is one that's hard to pick. Like, because I still think Thielen's really good, but like Jefferson could have another one of those monster days today. And he's pretty darn good in his own right. I struggle with this one.
I think it's safe to say Jefferson has bigger play potential than Thielen right now. Like,
Definitely.
no doubt. But I'm still going to go with Thielen. Patriots got me on that Thielen's got like the best wide receiver matchup of anyone this entire week. So I like him a lot. Give me Thielen. It is really hard, though. I'm with you.
Just Jefferson is that big play guy that it's like one long touchdown, which is totally feasible. This is just a tough one to pick. It's like the next one. I don't have really great feelings about it one way or the other. So I'll go with Jefferson just so we can disagree on this one. But it's going to be at the last one I pick.
Yeah, Jefferson's like emerging big time, it seems like.
Yeah, he's really good. All right, after that, Travis Kelce versus Tyreek Hill. I mean, these two right here are the two that I have no strong feelings about. I feel they are about as even as you could possibly imagine. So, you know what? I've Kelce over Hill enough, and it hasn't worked that I'm going to differ today. So I'd recommend picking Kelce, guys, because I'm going to pick Hill.
I'm going to pick Hill also, which is so rare for me. But I'm just going to go with the half-point PPR.
Yeah, I get this one wrong every week. So just if I'm picking Hill, guys, go Kelce.
Agreed. I think we'll agree on the next one.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett all day long. So, again, I've said it all week long. I'm feeling really good about the Seattle wide receivers. 2 weeks in a row. I was all in on Lockett 2 weeks ago. I was all in on Metcalf last week. And in my mind, I was like, no way do I want to tempt fate and go after these two guys because they're both so good and they have such a good quarterback this week. And then we came up with Buffalo, which just screams Tyler Lockett for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, the masses know that too, and they're running to Lockett on pay sites. But I still like him over Metcalf, so give me him here.
Yeah, I mean, chalk, not chalk. I feel like it's the right call, right? Like, again, DK Metcalf is awesome. And there's a reason I have him on like all my fantasy teams this year because I'm like a monster fan of his. But this is a good spot. Slot guys against Buffalo.
Well, for me, like just to touch on this for a second, I said this yesterday, like I get that. Like Lockett's going to be a lot higher owned than Metcalf, and Metcalf's really good. But I think enough people are going to be like, like I'm going to pivot from Lockett to Metcalf because everyone's on Lockett, where like it's not like Metcalf's going to be under owned. He's going to be probably higher owned than he should be to be facing Tre'Davious White, where I really have no interest in picking on. So, like for me, it's Lockett or nothing.
I have zero interest in Metcalf on like DK, for example. He's too expensive. He's almost 8K. It's a lot of money. Sure. He's one of those guys, people like to pick him because he's so good.
Right.
All right. Josh Jacobs versus James Robinson. So Jacobs also appears to be firmly questionable. Like, I expect him to play, but he seemed to be truly listed as questionable. I don't love this spot for him necessarily. Chargers tend to get leads early. Not that they always hold on to him. In fact, they rarely do. But that's not a great spot for Josh Jacobs. Is once they have to go a little pass heavier, he can lose a little bit of his run. Meanwhile, Houston is atrocious against the run. So I'll give you James Robinson.
So you expect the Chargers to win here?
No, I expect them to get a lead early. Whether they hold on to it or not is yet to be seen because they now almost never do.
That's fair. So I like Robinson slightly more also, but I think I like Jacobs more than you overall, which is, usually the case.
Yes, I just I did a matchup shop video before this where I was taking Edmonds and give me a point with Edmonds over Jacobs. I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. I like it more in PPR though.
All right, so the next one is interesting too, which is Mark Andrews versus Marquise Brown. So after last week, Lamar Jackson made a point of saying like we need to get Marquise Brown the ball, which is probably true. However, based on Lamar Jackson's accuracy and the ability to throw the deep ball, not having improved this year like it wanted to, I just don't know that he's able to do that. Like, I could want to run all over the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it doesn't mean I am able to do that. So I'm a little curious what your thoughts are on this one. I think my gun to head, I like Mark Andrews better.
So I like Mark Andrews a lot today. Definitely give me Mark Andrews here. Doesn't really have that much to do with Marquise Brown. More to do with Mark Andrews. We kind of talked about him a little bit, like when we had our first video of the week, and he's fallen really under the radar. I think he's just really good. Breakout. He's primed for a breakout. I think he's better than Marquise Brown. He's a better fit for Lamar Jackson. Like on any given week, I think I want Andrews over Brown.
Yeah, I mean, he's super touchdown reliant, which I can understand why that scares people, right? Like he hasn't gone, I think his like maximum yardage this year is like 58 yards in a game or something like that. But when they get to the red zone, there's no Mark Ingram. I mean, Lamar Jackson straight up just looks at him, right? Like tunnel vision on him.
I like him a lot today. He's falling really, really under the radar also.
All right. CD Lamb versus DJ Chark. I'll pick anybody over the Dallas offense, so give me Chark.
This might be my favorite one of the day. Give me Chark for sure. Just hoping that Jake Lutton's like competent.
I mean, both games. Okay, let's look at it this way. Like straight up, these guys are both really good wide receivers. If you think CD Lamb's better than Chark, I'm okay with that because CD Lamb's going to be a stud, right? No doubt about it. Both of these guys enter this game with absolute no-name quarterbacks that you expect nothing out of, right? However, one team plays Houston, which is one of, it's a bottom tier type of defense. And the other one plays Pittsburgh, the best defense in football. Give me Chark. Easy.
Same. I actually would take Lamb over Chark, though, as like who I would take as a receiver I wanted, like going forward.
Yeah, I have zero arguments with that. CD Lamb's going to be a stud.
Yeah, I respect Chark, but I don't really think he's got like elite number one upside. Do you?
No, probably not. He is just CD Lamb. Saying you're not as good as CD Lamb is not an insult because CD Lamb is going to be a flat out just baller.
I think CD Lamb could be like a legit number one.
Like when you say Russell Wilson's not as good as Patrick Mahomes, like don't feel bad, Russ. Nobody else is as good as Patrick. And last, Chase Claypool.
I'm gonna go Juju.
Any thoughts on this one? Juju as well. We've seen him come alive a little bit the last 2 weeks. This is a tough one because in a full point PPR, you would still probably like Juju maybe even a little bit more.
Right.
For me, like this game's, we inevitably know who's probably going to win this game. Like, are they being creative with Claypool down the stretch, or are they just kind of like running on the clock? It's like Benny Snell out there, like having fun.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't really know either. So I'm going to go Juju as well, but Claypool is a really fun, exciting guy to watch play. So it's hard to do this one with great amounts of confidence.
He's clearly got bigger play upside than Juju at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Juju's a receiver.
He's a what?
Possession receiver.
Yeah, at this point of his career, it looks like it, right? I mean, it's a good receiving core.
Yeah. I feel like Juju right now is a lot like Landry.
Yeah, kind of. I can see that comparison, guys. All right. So that's Overlay. If you haven't been playing on Overlay yet, go sign up. Put some money in there. Screenshot the deposit and send it to me. We can get you a free membership to the 5-pack. We're going to run through our DK picks again, and then we're going to throw in a couple of GPP guys at the end. Just, 2 wide receiver we each like moving forward. The NFL package is still up for sale. Like I said, monthly customers get half your buy-in back or half your monthly membership refunded you today for all brand new customers. Sign up for Overlay as mentioned, subscribe to the station, blah, blah, blah. So we covered this one earlier in the week. I don't think our thoughts on this one have really changed at all. I like Drew Lock. I still don't know if he's my cash game quarterback. I have to play around with the build this morning and whether or not I want to pay down here or go with one of the elite quarterbacks up top, or if I want to pay down somewhere else. Haven't made the decision yet, but I have zero issues with him in any format.
Yeah, he's definitely my guy in tournaments today. If I were making one lineup, he'd definitely be in. He would definitely be my guy. I'm making 5. I think he's going to be in multiple of my lineups. And I haven't even asked you this. I was going to ask you about cash games. I feel like I love him this week. I think his upside's real, but I still think it's too risky for cash games because I don't think he's going to get a lot of love. And like one of the big time QBs at least is going to have a good game here. Like I struggle to play him in cash games, but I love him this week. So, I mean, I'm on board.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of like touts out there that always talk about paying down at quarterback. So I think he does get some love. He's not chalk or anything close to that. But I do think you're going to see him, I don't know, 5-10%.
in
something like
cash.
that. Yeah, that would just be my guess, like 5, because there's some good big money guys. I think there's people who are going to try to throw Cook and McCaffrey together. I think some people like some of the upper tier wide receivers, some of the guys that we've mentioned and stuff like that. It's probably single digits, but I think he gets a little bit of exposure there because everybody knows how bad Atlanta is too.
Okay, so I think he's around 5%. I agree. But I also think Atlanta defense and projections say this is going to be like the highest owned defense of the slate.
Well, that's just silly to me.
I agree.
They're terrible. We have a cheap defense we brought them up. I think they're in a significantly better situation.
I mean, literally right now, projections, and it doesn't even matter what the ownership is. They're projected as the highest owned D on the slate, and I've heard them mentioned a bunch.
Well, they're freaking awful, so have fun with that, guys.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next up, Dalvin Cook. This is chalk talk. You guys know it. Everybody knows it. He's really good. The Lions defense isn't. Honestly, even at 8,200, this guy pays off his salary on a weekly basis. He basically did it against Seattle in half of the game. The more we talked about it this week, he is probably the best running back in football.
Yeah, he's so good. He's going to be the highest owned player on the slate. I don't think anyone would argue that at all. And he's a damn risky fade in tournaments. I mean, I'm definitely not going to be using him in all my lineups because I want a different roster construction. But I'm definitely not going to be fading him in all my lineups. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to use him some. And
yeah, I wrote him up in the write-up last night. Like, cash lock. And I couldn't fault somebody for playing him in all their tournament lineups too, and just because I thought he was that good.
I mean, listen, if you're only playing 3 tournament lineups and you want to just lock him in, do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, the odds of him like failing today. Yes, maybe he only gets 20 points, and that's not very good. But like, I struggle to picture him come in with like a 9-point day.
And that's the other way that he is going to be chalk. But chalk is what, like 30%. So if you love him today, just use him everywhere, and then you're over the field.
Yeah, and it's not just he's good. Like the Vikings' offensive line is run blocking well right now. They are creating monster holes. Yes, Madison and Cook are studs, no doubt about it. But it's easier to be a stud when you're getting big holes to run through.
For sure.
All right, next up. So the aforementioned Tyler Lockett, we brought him up a little in the week. Nothing has really changed for us except that we know that the weather's super nice in Buffalo today. I think it's like legitimately the highest temperature for a November Buffalo game on record. So that's an excellent spot for Tyler Lockett. The model right here, and again, DK Metcalf is a flat-out stud. Nobody's going to argue that point. So he could beat Tre'Davious White because I think Metcalf is even better at his job than White is at his job. Not by a ton, but he's a stud. That being said, like, slot guys get to Buffalo. Tyler Lockett is also really good. They have lack of running backs in Seattle, so expect him to go pass heavy. This one's kind of easy for me.
Yeah, he makes a ton of sense, especially in any cash game lineup. He's very affordable at 6,800. Like you mentioned, the weather's good. He's really good. He's got one of the biggest target shares in the league, a higher target share than Metcalf. So that tells you all you need to know. I really like a couple guys in the 6,800 range. I'm going to get to one, once we're done doing our main guys, but there's nothing not to like about Lockett here.
Yeah, unless you think he's going to be super popular and you don't like super popular guys in tournaments. I can't think of anything else.
And, I mentioned this a lot recently. He is going to be really popular. Everyone knows the spot. He's too cheap. Yeah. He's on 7K.
And with Keenan Allen now questionable in the late games, this can only, in the same price range, bump up his ownership.
No doubt. Keenan Allen's expected to play now because his second COVID test came back negative. But I agree with you. Like, if anything, that might just scare some people off. Mm-hmm. And I look at it like this. Like, it's not about how high owned Lockett is, whether you want to just, like, fade him or play him. Like, you don't want to play in tournaments like all the chalkiest guys in the world. But if you like a couple guys that are under the radar, I mean, sure, go ahead and mix them in with Lockett and Cook, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. Well, let's shimmy down the list to another guy, Noah Fant. I think the tight end is strong in the mid-tier this week. Like, not going up to, like, the Kelsey range, but the guys down in the 4s to 5s. Like, there's several good plays. You've already mentioned one of them, but one guy we like a lot is Noah Fant. I expect him to get some love this weekend as well. I saw him a couple times yesterday just, like, scrolling through the gram. A bunch of, like, fantasy projection places had him in their top 5. He's had a ton of targets this year. Again, tight end is strong, so if you like some of the other guys better, I completely understand. But Locke likes this guy.
Yeah, like Locke likes him a lot. Say that 5 times fast. He's good. He's affordable. We like the quarterback here. He seems like the logical guy to pair with Locke. It's interesting. Fant is getting a lot of love here. Optimizers do like him. I don't care at all. Just like I mentioned with Lockett. I mean, there are plenty of places I can get different with. I like Fant quite a bit here. If I'm making one lineup, he's in it. And I think he makes sense in cash games too, considering the ownership.
Yeah, I agree. I play him anywhere. I'm fine with him no matter what. The only reason I wouldn't use him in a lineup is because there's somebody else I liked as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last up is the Cardinals defense, which to me makes a lot more sense. So you got Miami, who's on the road against a team coming off of a bye with a rookie quarterback that's, again, I'd like to give him like a little bit of a pass last week because it was a weird game script, but he wasn't impressive at all with what we saw out of him. Now they're down to Patrick Laird and Jordan Howard as their running backs, which means that I just don't have a lot of faith in their offense getting a lot done. Meanwhile, the Cardinals defense is solid. You got Budda Baker as a potential defensive player of the year, under 3K. Like, I would love to get up to the Steelers, but even to kind of put it in the write-up, like, they are so expensive that it's just difficult to ever rationalize that kind of money on a defense.
I mean, I easily could see the Steelers just having a blah type game here, like just kind of going through the motions, winning this game regardless, but it just being very blah. Dallas not doing much to push the ball, running a lot. Pittsburgh doing the same thing, not a lot of possessions. Like, that could be completely off. Pittsburgh, could get after whoever's quarterback, Gilbert, Rush, Danucci, Kostrowski, whoever's quarterback.
Aikman, Staubach in their
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, man. We both like Arizona a lot here. They're very affordable, under 3K. They're my favorite D of the week. I expect good things from Tua, but this is not a good spot for him, as you mentioned. He was not impressive last week. He didn't need to do much, but like, he still wasn't impressive. You know what I mean? Like,
I wanted to ask you this. I saw the headline this week that the Dolphins may move on from Tua next year already. Did you hear about that or read that at all or look into that? Because I felt like I wanted to read more about it and just never got back to it.
So I feel like we talked about this briefly. Maybe I might have talked about it with someone else. So, the report came out that like part of why they are starting Tua is because they want to see what they have with him, right? To make sure that like he's the guy going into next year. I don't think that's like an indictment on Tua and like they're going to get rid of him. They're not going to get rid of him after this year unless he's like really, really shitty, which I don't see happening. I don't think this is like a Josh Rosen type situation. I mean, he was the guy coming into last year, so I think that's stupid.
Okay. Like I said, I meant to go back and read more about it, never got around to it. Just wanted to see if there was anything else that you had heard about it.
I'll say this. Like, if the Cardinals D-balls today and he really struggles, which obviously probably means the Cardinals D-balls, like, you're going to be hearing a lot of that this week, I think.
Yeah, we should go back to Fitzpatrick because we can still make the playoffs, but I mean, that could be a thing as well.
No doubt.
All right, so we're going to toss in a couple of guys that we just maybe changed our minds on or decided to like more throughout the week. No write-up specific for him, but for me, going back to that Seattle versus Buffalo game, I like the idea of John Brown in GPPs because I think Seattle is just that good offensively that, whatever situation you find them, they're going to put up points, which forces Buffalo to throw the ball a little bit. We know you can throw on Seattle. We've seen it all season long. They've been particularly suspect against the deep ball, which is what John Brown does well. Brown has not done a thing in weeks. He's been in and out of the lineup injured. He appears to be healthier this week than he has been in a while. I like the idea of using him in a GPP. You can pair him with Allen if you want. I don't think you have to because he only needs one play in a spot like this to hit value, and then anything he does on top of that would just be the cherry on the sundae.
Yeah, man, I like it a lot. He's always a guy I look at in tournaments. It's really hard to ever trust him, obviously.
Hell yes, it is.
But that doesn't mean that, he can't go off today. So
yes, that's definitely a tournament play. Thank you for mentioning that. I just wanted to reiterate, that is a tournament play, not a cash play.
I love the call, though. I mean, like you mentioned, big upside. And I don't think many people are going to go there. In a game that obviously is going to get a lot of love, this is a way to be different in a game that's going to be chalky.
Yeah, absolutely. And then have at it with your other guy that actually before you even say who it is, I will give you all a preview. His game log reads more like a cash game player this year, which is weird because that's never been who he is.
Well, I think that if you didn't have like Lockett right there, and you didn't have Keenan Allen right there, then this guy would be getting more love even in cash games. But I love Will Fuller today. I'm calling him Will Fuller, like, breakout massive game. He's been solid, like you said. You've mentioned all year how the Texans offense like funnels through their number one receiver. This is a great spot for Fuller in one of the best cornerback matchups of the week. He torched Jacksonville a couple weeks ago when they played. I think that a big part of this also is that Houston's D sucks. And as long as Lutton is competent for Jacksonville, I think they're going to move the ball and score. Houston's going to need to throw the ball. I think this game all around has sneaky upside at the same exact price as Lockett. And that says takes nothing away from my love for Lockett. I think Will Fuller goes off here, and I love him in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I would consider offense sneaky in this game. It does what you say, though, come down to is Lutton competent or not. We have no idea.
We have
no clue.
I will say this, though. I was talking about this yesterday with Patriot. Like, you know, they have Mike Glennon there, who's not good, but, like, he's a competent backup. Lutton must have showed something in practice where, like, he's the guy, you know?
Yeah. Again, I have no game film on this guy. I didn't watch him in college. I know nothing about him. All I can do is lean on the fact he's a 6th-round draft pick going up against a bad defense. So if you're in a place to be competent, like this is not the same situation as the Cowboys, right, who have lost their entire offensive line. Now they're probably without their number one running back, and they're playing against the best defense in football. He is going up against a team that generates very little pass rush, that's not strong almost anywhere. They could establish the run and then maybe get going with play action a little bit. I'm not going to be surprised if he looks competent. I'm not surprised if he looks terrible either, but like at the end of the day, if he throws up 250 and 2 touchdowns, none about that would shock me.
It's rare. I'm excited. I kind of want to see this, like, because if I told you he was like, obviously neither of these are probably going to happen because it's going to be somewhere in the middle, but he could be the next coming of Kurt Warner for all we know, or he could be the next coming of Nate Peterman for all we know.
I was going to say Peterman as well.
We literally don't know. Like, he's he's probably not going to be like Kurt Warner because that's one of a kind. He's probably not going to be like Peterman because that's also like one of a kind. But it's just rare to see a guy that no one really has any idea about. You know, he played at Oregon State. They were awful, like awful. One of the worst teams in college football. So I'm really interested to see this. This is a game I'm going to watch a little bit of.
Do you know who I feel really bad for?
Who?
Nate Peterman. Because
no,
he
right?
is now like me, you, and everybody else in the DFS world and the fantasy football world. He is the go-to for terrible quarterbacks. And if you watch that start a couple years ago, he was awful. I don't want to sit here and sugarcoat it. He was terrible, but multiple interceptions bounced off his receiver's hands. But like now he always goes down as the guy who like threw 12 balls and 5 of them were picked and like never got much of a look in the NFL again. One of my buddies from high school, JV year, we played a game and he threw 5 passes, completed 1, and threw 4 interceptions. And like to this day, he doesn't live it down. I feel like it's like a Nate Peterman situation right there. Like you will never stop hearing about it.
No, because it's funny too. I feel like, I mean, obviously he wasn't good, but he wasn't like as bad as we make him out to be. He just had that one horrific game.
Yes, and 2 of the interceptions at least were not his fault. But like I will always just remember this Peterman guy comes in. Throws 5 picks in like the first quarter or whatever it was, and like the worst quarterback in NFL history.
Seriously, Chargers D that day went all the way off.
Right, because that was the day that I told everybody to play Jacksonville's defense against Cleveland because the Chargers D was popular, and they had not been really good at all. And like Jacksonville's D like went off against Cleveland for like 26 points, but then the Chargers did like the same thing. So like my fade or my difference like made no difference at all. So it was kind of annoying.
I remember Jacksonville scored a defensive touchdown.
Yeah, and that was who was Cleveland running out those days? DeShone Kizer.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was just looking at like because I was watching the Notre Dame game last night. I was like going back down memory lane, like looking up Kizer, watching Kizer highlights, and now we're talking about him today. Like, why? Why is this happening to me?
Wow, you found 22 seconds in your life to watch Kizer highlights?
Right. Well, at first I was watching a 78-second clip of just Golden Tate embarrassing cornerbacks after he scored on them. Amazing video.
Golden Tate. Stupid Fail Mary catch. I still never like him because of that. That's not even his fault. Like, he's just doing his job. But because the replacement refs called that a touchdown, I will always hate Golden Tate for that.
He's out for the Giants today.
Oh, so there goes his one catch. I wonder where that target share is going to go.
Yeah, right.
So, all right, guys. Good luck today. Have fun. Win some money. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.